Good morning, Facebook family. How you doing? Let me first start off by saying all honor, all glory, and all praise is due to the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose name is Jesus. My name is Noel Berry. I'm with the Israel Bible Study Institute, where our goals and our objective is to bring biblical literacy to a biblically illiterate world through reading the uncut Word of God. We come straight from the King James Version of the Bible. We leave our denominational beliefs at the door, and we don't do any interpretation at all. I'm going to jump right up into this, try to knock it out today, because I have some stuff to do before I get to work. But the title of today's lesson is, He is not a God of the dead, a biblical explanation for 1 Samuel 28, 7 through 15, part 2. And just a quick recap, what we did yesterday was we went over, our lesson began with a biblical understanding. I like using the word biblical understanding when referring to any questions or anything about the Bible, because I use that in relation to, that's where we're going to get our understanding from. If I have a question that has pertained to the Bible, I can't go anywhere outside the Bible in order to understand what is said inside the Bible. So I always use a biblical understanding of a particular scripture, and I got that analogy from when I was doing research on some other lessons, and people will go into on YouTube, you'll see them saying understanding Colossians 2 and 16, understanding Mark 4 and 5, and then when you listen to their sermon or their lesson or whatever, they're just going off the top of their head explaining whatever it is that they want to explain, and only went into the book just to read that particular verse that they're giving an explanation behind. Now, I'm not going to do that. We don't do that here. We're going to let the Bible explain exactly what that question is that you have from within inside the Bible. But anyway, we were dealing with and are dealing with 1 Samuel chapter 28, verse 7 through 15, where Saul is asking a medium or somebody who has a familiar spirit to raise Samuel from the dead so that he could speak to him. And we start our lesson off by having a biblical understanding of dead, or what it means to be dead. And we read in the writings of Solomon, and in the writing of Job, and also in the Psalms of David, where in a nutshell, once you're dead, you're dead, you're gone. You don't have no understanding, you don't have no knowledge, you don't have no memory of anything, and you will not come up out that grave. You will not retain any type of understanding. You will not retain any type of memory until the heavens be no more. That's what we read in the Word of God to establish our foundation. Then we went into not just reading that particular verse, but we went into explaining or exploring how it was that Saul, who was anointed the king of Israel, come to find himself engaged in an activity for which we clearly read from the Word of God was an abominable act, and the Lord told them not to do this when they go into the land. So how did the king of Israel, who the Lord anointed to be the first king of Israel, which Israel is the inheritance of the Lord, which Israel is the vine, is the Lord's vine, and we can read in other places where the Lord said Israel is the apple of his eye. So we want to know, how did he end up going from there and being in the favor of the Lord and having the Lord's Spirit on him? Because it said when he was anointed, as soon as he became anointed and these particular signs arose, the Spirit of the Lord was upon him. Well, how did he descend from that point, being protected by the Lord, to being one who's seeking a medium for which the Lord has said is an abomination, in order to speak to somebody who is clearly dead? And we're going to get into that in the rest of this lesson. So, and I like to use an analogy of, he just didn't pop up like that. It was a series of events that occurred and decisions that he did or made that occurred over time that brought him to that position. And I like to use the analogy of, a person just didn't wake up in the morning and find themselves in the middle of a bank robbery, having 5 or 6 hostages tied up and duct tape on the phone, talking to the police out there, negotiating with them to give him a bus to take him to a plane at the airport to fly him off to Cuba with $75 million. He just didn't wake up in the morning like that. No, it was a series of events that led up to him being in the position that he was in. And it just didn't start with that morning, him robbing that bank. It started with casing out the bank. It started with discussion. And you can even go farther back to what even caused him to think that he could come up, that he needs to get this type of money. See, it's a series of events that occurred that landed him into that position. Same way with Saul. It was a series of events that occurred to bring about the finality right here in 1 Samuel 28, 7 and 15, where he's consulting a medium. And what we see, just to give a brief highlight of what we saw, was that one, he disobeyed the Lord's commandment of offering sacrifices to him, where the Lord clearly stated to the children of Israel in the time of Moses, through the mouth of Moses, that the only people who would offer him sacrifices were the priests. He was not a priest, he was a king, so he violated that rule. And Samuel told him about that. But still the Lord kept him in charge or in control of Israel, although he had turned his back from him. But then the Lord gave Saul another commandment, which was to go kill all the Amalekites, utterly destroy them and everything that they have, all their possessions. But Saul didn't do that. Saul kept the best of the possessions, and he kept the king of the Amalekites alive. And then when he was confronted with it by Samuel, he put the blame on the people. And then on top of that, he even acknowledges that the people who he's blaming took the objects that he knew himself that was supposed to be destroyed, because he said they took the things for which should have been destroyed. So with that, the Lord turned his back on Saul, said he's through with Saul. And then this is where we at right now at 1 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 14. After Samuel was constructed by the Lord to go anoint David, and then he would anoint David, and it said that the Spirit of the Lord descended on David, and at that time the Spirit of the Lord raised up from Saul, and an evil spirit fell on Saul. Let me read that real quick. It says, but the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled Saul. So then, at the conclusion of yesterday's lesson, we went into explaining from the Bible what this Spirit of the Lord was that fell on David and on Saul. See, the Spirit of the Lord fell on Saul when he was anointed. You can read about that in 1 Samuel 10. And the Spirit of the Lord fell on David when he was anointed. So we went in and found out what was the Spirit of the Lord that fell on David and Saul, and also departed from Saul. And we seen that it was one of the angels, it was an angel of the Lord, because we read in, I believe it was in Hebrews 1, where it says that the angels are the spirits of the Lord and he minister. And then we seen all the different places. I just didn't go there and leave there. I went to different places to show how spirits are minister spirits. They are protecting people. They put their heads of protection around them. Then we explored about the evil spirit that troubled from the Lord that troubled Saul, and we showed that how evil spirits, people are angels, fallen angels who were kicked out of heaven along with Satan the devil, and they're down here on earth. And we showed how that just because they kicked out of heaven does not mean excuse me, does not mean that they're no longer under the jurisdiction of the Lord and they're free to roam around and do whatever it is that they want to do. No, they're still up under the jurisdiction of the Lord and have to ask permission to do anything to anybody. And I showed different verses about that. Now, this is where we're going to pick up at, where I'm going to show demonstrations of where the Lord actually used evil spirits, to accomplish a goal that he intended to do. So with that, let's go to 1 Kings. 1 Kings 22. 1 Kings 22, and then we're gonna pick it up at verse 19. Now this story right here has a wealth of knowledge, a whole bunch of nuggets in there that you could take and go different ways with it and still come back to the same conclusion. But in a nutshell, King Ahab, who was the husband of Jezebel, was an evil king of the northern tribes of Israel, and the Lord wanted to bring about his demise. So he got, like it says in Job, but the day came when the Lord the sons of God and presented themselves toward the Lord, and so did Satan. So the Lord is, I guess he's in his throne room or whatever, and all the hosts of angels appear before him, and he puts out a statement. And we're going to see what this statement is, and then we're going to read on down to it to see how he uses evil angels to accomplish goals that he set forth. But okay, first let me backtrack. Ahaz had about 400 prophets, and he asked them prophets after he started entertaining Jehoshaphat, the king of the king of Judah, the southern kingdom, and he asked Jehoshaphat, man, wait, man, I want to go to war with these cats, the Assyrians who got my land. And so Jehoshaphat said, man, I'm down with you, but first let's ask the Lord. So Ahaz went and got his prophets, who's been whispering in his ears for the longest, who are false prophets, and there was about 400 of them, and these false prophets basically told him to do, go up to Ramoth Gilead, and you will be successful. So, but you can read that story on your own from verse 1 down to 19, but here it is where we at verse 19, where the true prophet of the Lord, Micaiah, actually telling Ahab what thus the Lord actually said, and the vision that the Lord allowed him to have. So we're going to start at verse 19. It says, and he said, Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall in great Mount Gilead? So the Lord is in the throne room, and all these hosts of angels, which all the hosts of heaven is around him, right? And he asked the question, who will persuade Ahab to go and fall at Ramoth Gilead? So the Lord wants a particular action to occur. He wants Ahab to go and die at Ramoth Gilead. So he's asking which one of these angels around him, or the host of heaven around him, is able to persuade Ahab to go and Ramoth Gilead so that he can die. And one said in this manner, and another said in this manner. So all these different angels or hosts of heavens are saying, hey, I could do this, and I do it like this. I could do it, and I could do it like that. 21. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, being God, said, thou shalt persuade him and prevail. Go forth and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord has put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these prophets, and the Lord has spoken evil concerning you. So the Lord used this lying spirit, this lying spirit, which had to be one of the fallen spirit angels, because I don't know how he could have been there, but I know Holy Spirits are not going to be lying spirits. But this lying spirit, the Lord allowed to go into the mouth of Ahab's prophets, which was 400 of them, and all of us told Ahab a lie for which he believed in, so that it could accomplish the goal of the Lord. So this is one aspect or one demonstration of how the Lord uses evil angels to accomplish his thing. There's one verse in here that actually says that the Lord even created the wicked. He created the wicked for a day of wickedness. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Cause I don't like putting something out there that they created the wicked. The Lord created the wicked for the day of wickedness. Let me see if this is it real quick. Right, yeah, this is it. We're going to stay right there, but if you want to, you can go to Proverbs 16. Proverbs 16 and verse 4. The Lord has made all things for himself. The Lord has made all things for himself. And like Brother Bowie said, all is an absolute. There's nothing that is made that he did not make that isn't for himself. So there isn't anything that is not made that the Lord will not use for his benefit of accomplishing whatever it is that he wants to accomplish. But he says the Lord has made all things for himself. Yeah, even the wicked he made, even the wicked he made for himself. Yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. So he will use the wicked as a means to accomplish something that he needs to be accomplished. And he created the wicked. So going back to where we finished with Ahab, we can skip on down to, let's go to Psalm 78 and get another demonstration of this. Psalm 78 and that's 72. No wonder it didn't look right. Psalm 78, and we're going to pick it up at verse 42. Now this is the psalm. This is David recounting this is the Lord through David's mouth recounting the things or the events that occurred during the time that the children of Israel were held captive in Egypt. And in particular, it's dealing with the time when Moses came and told Pharaoh to release the Lord's children. And Pharaoh wouldn't do it. So there was a series of plagues that occurred to the Egyptians as a result of Pharaoh's refusal to comply with this commandment. And if you read, we know that it was the Lord doing it because the Lord said, I'm going to harden his heart. He ain't going to let you go because I want to drop all these plagues on him. But the point I want to make is that we know that Moses turned the blood of the water, all their waters into blood. There was frogs, there was lice, there was all type of locusts, there was thunderbolts and darkness and all type of stuff in this series of plagues that occurred that eventually led to the last plague, which was the death of all the firstborn in the house of Egypt, or in everybody's house who wasn't up under the blood of that lamb on the doorpost when that death angel came through there. So this is the Lord recounting that incident, those incidents to the children of Israel through the mouth of David. So let's read what it says. It's in Psalm 78, we're going to start at verse 42. They remember not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy, how he had wrought his signs in Egypt, and his wonders in the field of Zon, and had turned their rivers into blood, and their floods that they could not drink. He sent divers sorts of flies amongst them, which devoured them, and frogs, which destroyed them. He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost. He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. If you go back to Exodus chapter 7, 8, and 9, you can read about all this stuff. And we see it every year during the time of Passover. They always have the movie, The Ten Commandments. We can read about, we see that, and we read about that. That happened. He's just giving a recount on it. But let's go on. He cast unto them the fierceness of his anger, the wrath and indignation and trouble. So all this stuff was his indignation, his wrath, and his anger, and fierceness of anger. But how did he make all this stuff accomplished? True enough, we've seen it going according to the hand of Moses. Moses said this, and it happened. But how did it happen? What was the agency or the vehicle for which the Lord used to bring about these locusts, these lice, these frogs, the thunderbolts, the hail, all the blood in the water? What agency or what vehicle did the Lord use to make all this stuff occur to demonstrate to the Egyptians that they need to let my firstborn go? Let's read 49 again. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation, and trouble by sending evil angels among them. The Lord did that by sending evil angels, which are devils, which are called these demons that people term today, the Lord sent them to do that stuff. Now, that is just two demonstrations. I can go and get a number of demonstrations of how, just because they were kicked out of heaven, these angels, they're still angels because this is what they were created. They are still spirits because this is their, that's just like if one of us, if we get taken out of society and placed inside of a prison unit or whatever, we're still humans. It doesn't change the fact that we're living as dogs now. We are still humans. Our disposition and our makeup is human. So these angels, when they were cast out of heaven, they are still angels. That's why Paul said it's no marvel because Satan transformed himself into a minister of righteousness. No marvel when his angels transform themselves into ministers of righteousness. He didn't say his devils. He didn't say his evil spirit. He said his angels because they are still angels. And as being such, they are still under the jurisdiction and the authority of God. God still controls them. Now, with all that said, we could go back. We have an understanding, or we could go back to 1 Samuel 16 and 1 Samuel 16 and 14 and finish that up. It said, but the Spirit of the Lord departed Saul. We know now that that Spirit of the Lord that departed Saul was that protective spirit or that angel that the Lord encamped around him. That same, that's supposed to be off. I don't know how that same spirit that was around, that cast that hedge around Job, for which Satan couldn't even penetrate. But he said, if you remove this angel, that's that same angel that Satan couldn't get around. So it was removed from Saul, and the evil spirit from the Lord troubled Saul. So let's see what else is going on. Let's go to, you know what, I did stop at the right place almost. Let's go to verse 23. We're just going to follow this evil spirit. And it came to pass when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul that David took up an harp. So, oh yeah, I forgot. Let me go back to put this in context. We're going to go to 14. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. And Saul's servant said unto him, behold, an evil spirit from the God troubleth thee. Let our Lord now command thy servants which are before thee to seek out a man who is a cunning player on a harp. And it shall come to pass when the evil spirit from God is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. So they went out and found David, who was supposed to play some music whenever the evil spirit of the Lord started descending on Saul. And that's where we are now. We skip down to verse 23, and the evil spirit must have, because it's trouble, is coming at him. Bam. It might hit him now, drop off. Hit him again, drop off. Hit him again, and drop off. So, verse 26, he said, and it came to pass when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul that David took up the harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. So this evil spirit is coming and going. It's coming and going. It's coming and going. See, Saul don't have that hedge of protection around him anymore. So Saul is like a city without walls. When they speak about a city, like, that's why one of the main things they were talking about securing the border, because if you don't have any borders to protect your nation or regulate the flow of traffic coming and going from your nation, anybody could come into your nation and leave at any time and do anything that they want to do, and you're going to lose control over your nation. When you don't have that hedge of protection around you, which is that angel of God, then evil spirits could come and go as they want to. And as you fluctuating between sanity and insanity because they're steadily coming. See, first of all, sanity comes from sanitation. Sanitation is a form of cleanliness. So when you are sane, which is the same root word in Latin, or it's the same for sanity and sanitation. So these unclean spirits, which are evil spirits, are coming into you. You're insane. You're unclean. Your mind is being influenced and affected by them. But then they leave, and now you are being clean. But if they're rubbing away. They're coming and going. They're coming and going. And eventually, they're chipping away at what sanity or cleanliness that you did have in you, to eventually where once they have completely overwhelmed you, they stay within inside you, and you become like that individual. Maybe not so much to where they do have people who they keep in straitjackets, who have lost their mind, as we say. They do have people whose actions, they do. I know everybody, man, why'd you do that, bro? Man, that was foolish. What reason did you have to do that? Man, I just did it. You know what I'm saying? You have people like that because that protection that the Lord has put around them is no longer there. Just like when that one spirit left from that man, he left that man. That don't necessarily mean that he was saved, and that's another lesson. That don't mean that he was saved. That spirit just, okay, man, I'm just burned off. But when he came back with 7 more spirits. And the man was 7 times uncleaner than he was before. So this spirit is coming in and out of Saul. Because it says right here, and the evil spirit departed from Saul. So let's go to 1 Samuel verse 22. 1 Samuel verse 22. And now this is during the time when Saul's mind became so degenerate with this evil spirit coming and going, wearing rubbing away, that he's becoming paranoid. And anything he hears, he thinks this. He's become envious and jealous of David. People are singing songs talking about Saul killed his thousands, but David killed his hundreds of thousands. But hey, his tens of thousands. But hey, is that a lie or is it the truth? Are they singing the truth or are they singing a lie? If they sing a lie, I can understand you being upset. But if they telling the truth, then why are you tripping? Because this evil spirit is in his mind. Man, because what he said something about, well, they gave him 10,000. What else they going to give him? They going to give him the kingdom? Of course they going to give him the kingdom because the Lord said he's going to have the kingdom. You done lost the kingdom, partner. You just going through the motions of having the kingdom being ripped from your hands until that time when the Lord has decided already that you're going to meet and die. You know what I'm saying? He's been chasing David. If you read the story, he's been chasing David all over the place. He done got David hiding in caves and stuff with few men. And David didn't do nothing but be loyal to Saul. But even in time when he caught Saul slipping 2 or 3 times and told Saul, man, look at here, player, I could have popped you. But it ain't about that. You're my king. I ain't got no problem with you. And Saul even acknowledged, he said, man, anybody else would have killed me. Truly, you're right. But even with that rational thought, that evil spirit hit him again, and he couldn't rationalize that because the Lord has got him in a reprobate mind. We're going to read about that in a minute. He's already descending down a hole for the which the Lord ain't going to let him up out of. So we're going to pick it up. 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 6. When Saul heard that David was discovered and the men that were with him, now Saul abode in Gibeah under a tree in Ramah, having his spear in his hand and all his servants standing about him. Then Saul said unto his servant that stood about him, hear now, you Benjamites, the son of Jesse, give every one of you fields and vineyards, and make you all captains of thousands and captains of hundreds, that all of you have conspired against me, and there is none that showeth me that my son hath made a league with the son of Jesse. And there is none of you that is sorry for me, and showed unto me that my son has stirred up my servants against me to lie and wait at this day. So there was Jonathan, Saul's son. Like I said, you can read all this stuff in your own, but I want to put it in some context of what I'm reading. Saul's son, Jonathan, loved David. So they were communicating with him. So he like, man, he's so far gone. He think it's conspiracy. He think everybody's against him. All of y'all riding with David. David done paid all of y'all off, promising y'all he's gonna, when he becomes king, he's gonna give you this, he's gonna give you that. Man, all of y'all against me. You see how he's becoming more and more? And I know all of us have been in that. So when that spirit of anger is upon us, we don't do no rational thinking. We think Man, we think like Brother Bowie said. He said, man, I thought I could whoop the whole school until I found out I couldn't. But when that spirit is upon you, you can't tell them nothing. Man, I whoop everybody in this school. But when everybody in that school whooped me, I found out something. But anyway, let's skip on down to verse 16. And the king said, all right, oh yeah. So David was discovered that he was hiding out, and this particular priest was helping David. Now the priest didn't know that David was on the run. David and his men came to, and I think it's the same story where David and his men ate of the showbread, and the priest gave him some food and all that. So it was told to King Saul that David was over here and there, and this priest helped him out. So this is where we at right now. To show you how far down that hole that evil spirit of the Lord that been going back and forth. Now he done got him fully, and he's dragging him down that hole because he ain't leaving him. He's gone. And the king said, thou shalt surely die, Ahimelech, thou and all thy father's house. Ahimelech was that priest, right? And the king said unto the footmen that stood about him, turn and slay the priest. Turn and slay the priest of the Lord. He's telling his servants around him, turn and slay the priest of the Lord, because their hand also is with David, and because they knew when he fled and did not show it to me. But the servants of the king will not put forth their hands to fall upon the priest of the Lord. So the servants, man, hey, you tripping, man. They might not have told him like that, but they know better about putting their hands on the priest of the Lord. Just like David know better than putting his hands on the one who the Lord anointed, which was Saul. That's what he told his men when Saul when they had a chance to catch Saul slipping. He said, man, God forbid that I put my hands on one who he is anointed. So the people who were Israelites, man, they ain't trying to hear what Saul talking about now. You tripping for real. So let's see what happened. And the king said unto Doeg, and the king said to Doeg, turn thou and fall upon the priest. And Doeg, the Edomite, Doeg was an Edomite. So even during the time of Saul, the Edomites had been around within, our twin brother had been living with us. And let's see what our twin brother, he had no problem carrying out this order, because it ain't his people. They hated, he hated us anyway. What did Esau say? He said, when my father died, when the day of my mourning of my father died, I should surely kill my brother. So he been trying to kill Jacob. So he said, and Doeg the Edomite turned and fell upon the priest and slew on the day 65 persons that did wear lined ephods. So he killed 45. Four scores is what? That's 85 people. He killed 85 people. And Nob, the city of the priests, smote he with the edge of the sword, both men and women, children and suckling, and oxen, and asses, and sheep with the edge of the sword. Now, he's doing the same thing to the priest and the priest city and everything in that city that Saul was committing. Look at the irony of this, man. That's why I said read this book. Boy, this book is marvelous. Look at the irony of this. The final straw, the straw that broke the camel's back, was Saul not obeying God's commandment, is that the Lord told Saul to go and utterly destroy the Amalekites and spare nothing. Kill every man, every woman, every child, every suckling, kill every cattle, everything. Saul didn't do that. Saul went and let the king live and got the best of the best. But now when he tell this Edomite to kill these priests, that's all he said. He said kill the priests. He didn't say kill everything. He said kill these priests. This Edomite went and did the same thing to everything in the city of them priests that Saul was supposed to do according to the Lord. You don't see how degenerate this man's mind went down, how far down that rabbit hole that man went through that evil spirit. So where am I at? Man, I done lost myself. Let's go. I'm supposed to stop at 21. Yeah, 21. Okay. And one of the sons of Abimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar showed David that Saul had slain the Lord's priest. So Saul done killed all the priests, that had this Edomite kill everything that was living, and he don't see no problem with that. He don't see no problem with that at all. Not at all. Now, let's go to 22. 1 Samuel chapter 22. We're going to pick it up at verse 6. No, what I have that in there? I don't need that in there. I don't establish a whole enough. We have enough information. We have enough information. So we understand now how it is that Saul got to being in the position he's in now. The Lord had turned his back from him. The Lord ain't talking to him. The Lord ain't trying to hear nothing he's saying. Hey man, I'm just letting you go through the motions until I establish David to be my next king. But you out of here. So we're going to go to 1 Samuel 28, and we're going to pick it up in verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together to warfare to fight with Israel. And Achish said unto David, Know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men. So David is still on the run, and he's staying with the Philistines. So let's skip on down to verse 3. Now Samuel was dead. Now, what do we read about the dead according to Solomon, Job, and David? That the dead know not anything. They're in their grave. They have no memory. They have no type of sense of understanding of anything. And they will not come up out that grave. They will not rise out their sleep until the heavens be no more. Meaning until the last day of the resurrection, the first resurrection. So it said, now Samuel was dead, and all Israel lamented him and buried him in Ramah. So Samuel, he's dead and he's buried, even his own city. And Saul put away those that had familiar spirits and wizards out the land. And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gobiah. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was troubled, and his heart greatly trembled. So where am I at? Let's keep on going down to 8. Okay. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither in dreams, nor in Urim, nor by prophet. Why ain't the Lord answer him? Because all this stuff you done did. I done turned my back from you. You gone. You're dead, but you just ain't failed yet. And this evil spirit that I put on you has caused you to do all this. Man, you done killed every priest that I had in this particular city. You done did to these priests in this city what I told you to do to the Amalekites, but you refused to do that, but you took pleasure in doing it to my priests. And you think I'm going to hear you? Man, you got to be out. All right, man. Let me stay on track. Okay, so it says, and Saul inquired of the Lord. Come on, I mean, that shows you how crazy he is. You know you doing this stuff, and you think the Lord going to ask me, Lord, why ain't you answer me? Lord, please tell me what to do. Why ain't you coming to me? But I done did all this stuff. Come on, man. You don't even know. See, a crazy man in the crazy house think he's the only sane person there. But he's in a straitjacket, having drool come out of his mouth, being shot up every 5 hours with the Thorazine. And he think he's sane. He think everybody else is walking around is unnormal. So Saul don't even know that he done lost his mind. And when Saul inquired of the Lord, what time is it? Oh, man. Okay. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dream, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. Then said Saul unto the servant, seek me a woman that has a familiar spirit, the one who you done slayed, because it said you done killed all the down here, you done killed. It says in verse 3, it says Saul put away those that had familiar spirits, the wizards, out the land. So now you seeking for one who you put out the land. But why did you put out the land? Because the Lord said it's abomination to him. And you're supposed to have nothing to do with them. Then said Saul unto his servant, seek me a woman that has a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her, and inquire of her. And his servant said unto him, behold, there is a woman that has a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiments and went, and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I should name unto thee. So Saul is doing what the Lord, see, he already out there. So now he's engaged. Now we see why he's engaging in. And see, at the beginning, when people go to this verse to try to validate their belief that they could talk to the dead, or their dead loved ones are still around somehow or another, they go to this verse and read. Well, see, Saul went to this medium and consulted this medium and brought Samuel up from the dead. But then nobody goes and looks to find out how did it come to be that Saul found himself in that predicament when he was an anointed king over the children of Israel, which is the inheritance of the Lord. How did Saul find himself in that predicament? So now we see how he found himself in that predicament. We see how the Lord said not to have anything to do with them. We also read where the Lord said, hey man, once you dead, you dead. There's no memory of you. They have no knowledge of anything that's going on around them. So why are you involved in this? So let's put a marker right here. And I was looking for this other day, my password. Let's put a marker right here. And we're going to go to 2 Thessalonians. We're going to talk about how that evil spirit that the Lord put on them, and then on people, and how they believe whatever it is they want to believe. So 2 Thessalonians 2, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 10, and said, and with all deceitfulness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. For this cause, God shall send them a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. I'm setting it up for us. He's already putting in his mind something that allow him to believe a lie. He asked this medium to bring up somebody who we know is clearly dead, who we know according to the scripture has no knowledge, has no memory of anything, and he will not be. I want to go back and read that just to put emphasis. Job said, man lies down and rises not up until the heavens be no more. So everybody who has died and who's in the grave, there's no way that they're going to come up out that grave until the heavens be no more, which is at the first resurrection. Okay, let's go to Romans 1. Let's go Romans 1. So you want to go down this rabbit hole? We're going to go down there, and you're going to believe in Easter bunnies. You're going to read in chocolate covered, Easter bunnies laying chocolate covered rabbit eggs. Easter egg. Okay, Romans 1 and 28. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. So your mind is reprobate. You're going to believe whatever it is that's thrown in front of you that you want to believe anyway. So this man wants to believe. He's in dire strait. The pressure's on him. The Lord is not. Okay, let's go back to 1 Samuel 28. The Lord is not listening to him. These Philistines are gathering a battle against him. He's losing these battles. He's fluctuating between sanity and insanity with these evil spirits of the Lord coming through his mind. He's desperate to find out what to do. He don't know what to do. So he goes to a medium a person who he knows is not supposed to go to, but he's, hey man, I'm just like when he committed his first offense. He forced himself to commit that offering to the Lord, knowing that he was wrong. You did an intentional act. So he knows that he's wrong by going to this meeting because he killed all of them. He killed them all because it's an abomination to the Lord. But he's so far gone down the rabbit hole that he's willing to accept anything. If Puff the Magic Dragon was to pop out in front of him, he's going to believe that because he done lost his mind. He done killed. Let me get back on track, man. 1 Samuel 28, we're going to pick it up at verse 8. Verse 8. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment and went and two men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I should name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul has done, how he has cut off those that have familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? And Saul swore to her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. How are you going to swear by the Lord? Come on, man, listen to this. I swear by the Lord, the nothing's going to happen. You are an abomination to the. That's just like the people say. What they say? They say, all things are good and can be consumed. All you got to do is just pray over it. So they pray over the pork, which the Lord said is unclean to you, and now they're swearing to the Lord over this pig, over this lobster, over this catfish that the Lord said is abomination. Now, somehow or another, it's clean and you can eat it. That's the same thing here. He said, I swear by the Lord, nothing can happen to you, but you're supposed to be dead. You're supposed to be dead. If my men would have done what he was supposed to do, and I told him to kill everybody, then we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. You're supposed to be dead because you were an abomination to the Lord. So how am I going to swear by the Lord to you an abomination that nothing's going to happen to you? Man, see how far his mind is? He's just running his mouth. That's all. He's literally running his mouth. And you have no jurisdiction over this right now, partner. You fixing to die in a couple of hours. Let's go on. Let's come. So he said, verse 10. And Saul swore to the woman by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And the woman cried, and when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake unto Saul, Why hast thou deceived me? Thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid. For what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. Now, let's stop right here for 1 second. Because I remember a long time ago, some people I was talking to, and this is when I was real new in the word, they were trying to show that these gods ascending out of earth means there's more than one God. Now, we got to put this into context. This is what this woman who deals with familiar spirits and their vernacular and their language and dealing with this and dealing with these arts and these crafts, they use this language. So to her, what she's seeing, she's describing it as gods. But we know there's no God but one God, and that's the Father and the Son who makes up the Godhead. So it couldn't be gods that she's seeing. We know it was some spirits, some evil angels that she's seeing, but it was certainly not gods. As people try to make, well, see, there was gods. She seen, she seen something. She just used the language that she's used to using in her craft. So she tells in verse 13, and the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said, I said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. Let me keep my place straight. Okay. And he said unto her, What form is he? She just said God. His mind automatically jumps onto he. She said gods, plural. He said he, singular. See how his mind's already jumping up there? So, and he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived, he thought in his own mind that it was Samuel. And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed down. See, he already believed in Allah. Why? Because the Lord turned him over to a reprobate mind and sent that evil angel to him so that he can believe a strong illusion in a lie. And what happened next? Let's keep on. Let's read it up. So in his mind, from the information that this woman told him, he's perceiving that although she said God's plural, being these spirits, evil spirits, he's saying that, okay, what is he? So he did not even hear what she said. He did not hear what she said. He's only hearing what's floating around in his mind because he's desperate. So he said, and Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? Wait a minute. We have a problem here, Houston. Houston, we have a problem. If this is Samuel right here, let's put a marker right here. If this is Samuel right here, if this is actual Samuel who died right here, then we have a problem. Put a marker right here. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 9. Should I read 9? Ecclesiastes 9. No. I'll go to 9 in a minute. Let's go to Job 14. There's a contradictory right here. If this is Samuel right here, then we have a problem. We have a problem. Or we missing something. Let's go to Job 14. Let's go to Job 14 real quick. It says, Job 14 and 10. Man dieth and wasteth away. Yeah, man gives up the ghost, and where is he? He's in the grave. We already read that Samuel was in the grave. We see that Saul is going to this woman to bring up Samuel from the grave. So man dies, and now he's in the grave. He gives a ghost. Verse 12. Man lies down and rises not. Man is in his grave, and he rises not, till the heavens be no more. They should not awake, nor be raised out of their sleep. That's what God said through the mouth of Job. Now we have over here somebody trying to tell us that this is Samuel, that who said in verse 15, and Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? Somebody's telling a lie. If this is Samuel, then Job is lying. If this is Samuel, then Job is lying. But if Job is telling you the truth, then this isn't Samuel, then how do we reconcile the two? How we reconcile the two is that this is an evil angel for which the Lord sending a strong illusion to speak to Saul. This evil angel is appearing to Saul in his mind how Saul wants him to appear anyway. He's looking to see Samuel. Okay, you want to see Samuel? I'll play Samuel. What did that evil spirit say? That evil angel to the Lord when Lord wanted Ahab to go up to Ramoth Gilead and die. He said, I'll be the lying spirit in the mouth of his prophets. Yeah, this is that strong delusion. This ain't Samuel. Samuel is dead and in the grave, and he's going to remain there until there be no more heaven, no more sky. At the first resurrection is when Samuel going to come out that grave. This is an evil spirit. But let's keep on. Let's keep on reading. So, and Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed. I am distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answers me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. So Saul is tripping. He know but Samuel told you while he was alive, and you know it was Samuel alive, and there was no delusion when he was alive that you told him that the Lord is through with you. Oh, you think that the Lord is a man that he should lie? You think the Lord is going to go back on his word? You think the Lord, he said he's through with you. He's through with you. It ain't like he don't fluctuate. Well, okay, I really didn't mean that. Now, he said he meant he anointed, as soon as he anointed David to be king, it said his spirit left you and an evil spirit began to attack you. It began to trouble you. I'm through with you. I don't care who you call and how many devils, you are out the book. You an old dead tree that just ain't fell down yet. But when this final wind blows and push you, you're going to fall down. Verse 16. Then Samuel, which is actually the evil spirit appearing before Samuel, then said Samuel, wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee and is become thy enemy? And the Lord has done to him as he spoke by me, for the Lord has rid the kingdom out of thy hand and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. He's fulfilling the role. He's fulfilling the role, playing the role in the image that he wants him to hear. This is not Samuel. This is an evil spirit. But let's keep on going on. Let's go to, let's keep on reading. So, verse 18. Because thou bearest not the voice of the Lord, nor executed his fierce wrath upon the Amalek, meaning you were supposed to kill everything. But you didn't kill everything. You let the king and the good choice things of the Amalek survive when the Lord told you to kill everything. Then you're going to blame it on the people doing it. But then when it comes to seeking revenge on David, going after David, you kill everything that has pertained to the priests and my people. Therefore the Lord has done this thing unto thee this day. Moreover, now let's listen to this. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow shall thou and thy sons be with me. The Lord shall also deliver the host of Israel in the hand of the Philistines. So he's talking about some events that's going to occur in the future. Now let's go to Ecclesiastes 9. He's talking about something that's going. How does Samuel know this? And Samuel is dead, and we read that the dead know not nothing. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 9. Ecclesiastes 9. We're gonna pick it up at verse 5. For to him that is joined to all the living there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. Neither have they any memory or any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Skip on down to 10. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, no device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goes. So there's no knowledge in the grave. So how is it, if you're saying that this is Samuel, then how is it that Samuel knows about the events that's going to occur tomorrow? When he's dead, he's supposed to not know anything. That is not Samuel. That is that evil spirit that the Lord placed upon Saul, and Saul's believing that lie. His mind has become reprobate, and he's believing a lie, a strong delusion. He said, I will send a strong delusion on them. Let's go to Amos 3. And we're going to wrap this up. We almost finished. But the thing I want to point out, brothers and sisters, is that this spirit, and I keep on calling, because that's what it is an angel. This evil spirit is still an angel. It's an angel. It's an evil spirit. Evil is just an adjective describing the noun. But this evil spirit that's upon Saul, making him think that he's speaking to Samuel, that is not Samuel. Samuel is dead and in the grave. So therefore, all the people who are going around tonight who believe, most people don't, they just follow the tradition of trick-or-treating, Halloween, and all that stuff. But for the origin of Halloween, some of the aspects of it is that The veil between the living and the dead is so thin that now the dead can walk around amongst the living. Now the dead is dead. When you go to that cemetery, man, what was it? They had last Sabbath. I picked up a brother. I was taking him to I was taking him to the class, and we passed by a cemetery, and man, that cemetery was crowded. And he made a statement about something about, man, that cemetery crowded. I said, man, next to them being in church, tomorrow being Sunday, that's the most time that the dead gonna gather together. The dead, what Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. Them people are spiritually dead in the graveyard with the physically dead. And the only great gathering of dead people, besides being in the cemetery, is on Sunday churches, is the next great day of gathering, where you see a bunch of dead people. The dead is dead. You ain't speaking to nobody. And if you do hear something, if you hear something, it ain't coming from that person who you think it is coming from. It's coming from an evil spirit. So let's go to Amos 3. Now, with that information put on the table, brothers and sisters, you have a choice. Just like with all the stuff I do with my lessons, I'm drawing a line in the sand. We've been taught certain things, to believe certain things, but we never verified that which we've been taught to believe, and we pass that stuff on. But then once we put to the test and see that, hey man, what I've been taught ain't lined up with this Bible, now we have a choice to make. That lesson I did about love, no one's in heaven. You have, after that information came to you from this Bible, showing you that your dead loved ones are not in heaven floating around right now with angels' wings smiling down at you because you're so good, but they are actually in the grave and going to remain there until the sky's no more. You have a decision to make once you come to that information. You can keep on going that route, believing that your family's in heaven, your loved ones who have died in heaven, or you can go this way. You can't keep on believing in the Bible and believing a lie. You can't say that you believe in the Word of God and follow a path that's other than the Word of God, that's claiming to come from the Word of God. Let's go to Amos 3, and I'm going to show you that. We're going to end this lesson on with that. Amos 3 and 3. Can two walk together except they be in agreement? Can two people walk together unless there is an agreement? Can we walk together? No, I want to go to the left. I want to go. We tied together at the hip. I want to go to the left. I want to go to the right. We ain't going nowhere. We're gonna be just struggling against each other until that cord that's holding us together breaks. You got a dog sled. If you look at how dog sled team works, they have to function as one unit. You can't have the lead dog want to go this pace and the push lead dog want to go at another pace, and then the dog next to him want to go to the left while the dog behind him want to go to the right. You're going to be jerking, and you have no movement. In order for you to have any type of progress and move forward motion, you must be in agreement and unity with the occupants of that vessel that you're using to go forward. So can there be an agreement? Can you believe that your loved ones you talking to in the grave tomorrow, on the day of the dead, are speaking to you, but then you want to go to church and believe in this book right here that says that's a lie? You can't have both of them. You can't have both of them. Let's go to 1 Corinthians and show you that you can't have both. You can't have that's one aspect of the analogy of you can't have your cake and eat it too. That I do agree with, because I don't agree with that. I haven't had anybody actually explain to me. So in my own understanding, you tell me I can't have my cake and eat it too, then why do I have my cake? I just ain't gonna let it sit there. But using that idiom, yeah, that applies here. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Meaning you can't engage in this activity and believe in this activity, and then believe in this book. And this book says that this activity that you engaged in and that you believe is false. It's negative. You can't. It can't coexist together. It's a separation. It's just like oil and water. You couldn't cook us some stuff. You pour that grease inside of a bottle, pour some water into that bottle, and let it sit. There's going to be a separation. You're going to have the lighter sediment on top which is the water, and the oil is going to be on the bottom. And you're going to see a distinct line that differentiates the two. Up here is water, and down there is oil. Just like when I drain the juice from my beans that I make my bean juice with, and then because I like cooking my rice in my bean juice, and I sit in a jar in the refrigerator for a while, man. After a while, you can see a clear distinction between the stuff that is bean juice down here and that was heavier material and the other stuff on top. They don't go together, because if they were going together, you wouldn't be able to see a distinction between the two. 1 Corinthians 10:21. Ye cannot drink of the cup of the Lord and of the cup of the devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils. You can't eat at both of them. You cannot eat. You can't eat at both. You can't have the best of both worlds. That is a lie. You're going to either be with God or you're going to be with the devil. It's just that simple. You're going to be with God or you're going to be with the devil. Let's see what Joshua had to say about that. Let's turn to Joshua 24. We almost finished. I only got a couple more places after this. Joshua 24. Joshua 24:14. Now therefore, fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your father served on the other side of the flood. That was on the other side of the Euphrates River when Abraham was still in Chaldea with his father before the Lord separated him from his people. And put away the gods which your father served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, if it seems evil to you, if it seems too hard for you, if it's, the Lord has 600 some laws, it's too hard to keep all them laws. If it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve. You can't serve both. You can't, what did he say? I should have put that in there. He said, no man can serve two masters, because you will love one and hate the other. You can't serve God and the devil. You're going to either serve God or you're going to serve the devil. And in all actuality, if you don't serve God, then you are serving the devil. There isn't any neutral ground. You're going to serve God and you're going to serve the devil. Those are the only options on the table. That's the only game, those are the only two teams on the ball field. God or the devil. Who is it you're going to be on? What side is it going to be on? What jersey and what uniform are you going to put on? And you have to put on the jersey or uniform. By you not putting on the jersey or the uniform, then that means that you are choosing to serve the devil. Because the jersey and the uniform of the Lord that you're going to put on is going to be the identifier that you are serving a God. And what is that identifier? Keeping the commandments. God said, keeping the Sabbath is a sign between him and his people. When you see people keeping the Sabbath and keeping his commandment, that is the uniform that you're putting on that identifies that you're on Team God. If you don't have on that uniform, you're on Team Devil. But let's finish it up. It said, and if it seems evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So, brothers and sisters, that brings us to the conclusion to, he is not the God of the dead. A biblical explanation of 1 Samuel 28, 7-15. That was not Samuel's speaking from the grave to Saul. That was an evil spirit. And how do we know this? Because we read this through the word. Now, if you have a preacher who, like I said, do experiments, yes, I do that. I ask people stuff just to see if I'm tripping, because I know I trip. So I ask people to see things, see if I'm tripping, to validate. Like I said yesterday, I asked somebody, hey, what does this mean right here? was that simple? And if they get to explaining something without going into the Bible, they might be correct in their explanation, but force them to get into this Bible. Say, tell me, how do you come to that conclusion that that is this and that and that? If they can't get into this Bible and show you what it is that they're saying, what does it say? If they come not, if they to the law or to the testimony, if they speak not from this, it's because there is no light in them. That's who Jesus told you to take heed that no man deceive you. This is the book. And the King, and I'm going to do a lesson on that. I'm just waiting for some things to come in the mail. The King James Version, not the new international version. That's the word of man. And I'm going to prove that definitively when I do that lesson. But, brothers and sisters, man, get into this book. Try the Spirit by the Spirit. Don't let anybody tell you anything and accept it. If you can't read it, don't believe it. With that, brothers and sisters, I pray that somebody was edified. And I pray that you have a wonderful day and a safe day. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.